to welcome back, I believe, our fourth visit with Mark Greaney. He has a brand new book out. It's called 1 Minute Out, another one of his great court gentry gray man series. And Mark joined us by telephone today. And Mark, I was checking the archives. I believe this is our fourth time, so it's always good to talk to you. How have you been?
It's great to be back, Doug. I'm doing great.
You're a prolific writer. I think we talked to you less than a year ago, so you're really putting these out.
Yeah, I've been busy. It took me forever to get published, so ever since I've gotten published, I'm going full tilt.
That seems to be the deal with writers, particularly of novels, right? It takes who knows how long it takes to get your first book done, and then obviously you hope for a hit, and then after that they want more and more, don't they? That's the way it goes.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say no because for a long time that's all I heard.
Well, again, for people not with us before, this is part of your Gray Man series. The name of the character is Court Gentry, a CIA agent, and this one's called 1 Minute Out. I don't want to give too much away, like I always say when we talk about your books and other novels, but this one kind of a little bit of a twist to the character, right? A little bit different the way you wrote this one. I believe in kind of the first person, which is a little different than before, right?
Yeah, this is the 9th book in the series. They're all standalone. You don't have to read them in any order or anything like that. But this is book 9 and the first one that I decided to do in the first person. Something I've wanted to do for a while, but literally just chickened out of because it is harder. Right. But then after I was looking at developing the plot for this story, I realized the hero is going to be by himself quite a bit, and I didn't want to tell the readers what he was thinking and feeling and doing. I wanted him to tell the readers. So it's him interacting directly with the readers in present tense, first person, about what he sees and what he thinks and all that. And I thought it was an interesting way to tell the story.
As opposed to like us watching on the movie screen, it's more like looking through his eyes. Would that be the difference?
Yeah, exactly. You're literally looking right over his shoulder through all the scenes involving him.
Yeah. Well, what was the difference in writing it then? Obviously, you put your plot together, I guess, the same way, but what's the difference in writing it in this way?
Well, the interesting thing for me was people that have read the series and do know the hero, Court, they're going to have their own impressions about what's going on in his head and how he thinks and his humor and all these sorts of things. It's all internal monologue. And I wanted to get that right. I wanted to give people what they were expecting. Now, obviously, I've spent 10 years thinking about this guy, so I feel like I know him pretty well. Right. But as I was writing him, I was always fascinated to go off in directions. It's like, well, I wouldn't think this way, but it's true to his character that he would think this way or worry about this sort of thing. So it was interesting to get deep for me as the writer to get deeper into my protagonist's head. And
you write, I guess, more dialogue too, right? Since he's doing the talking with more dialogue.
Yeah, it's almost a dialogue with the reader, where he's literally like, I know what you're thinking. Why am I doing it this way? And I'm doing it that way, and I toned it back a little bit as it went on because I didn't want it to be too jocular. It's a very tough subject that they're discussing, but he's a smart aleck and a little bit humorous here and there. So I try and have the right measure of lightness and dark in my stories. And
of course, you mentioned a tough topic. It's based on a human trafficking operation, right? This is over in Croatia, where Court is sent on an assignment, right? So it's dealing with human trafficking.
Yeah, absolutely. He starts out in Bosnia. He's on a freelance mission targeting a Serbian war criminal, and he discovers this way station for this massive human trafficking pipeline, and it leads into Croatia, and he goes after these victims because he feels personally responsible for their already terrible plight getting worse, and he meets the sister of one of the victims, and together they work together and go across Europe and follow this pipeline all the way back to the United States.
Yeah, all the way back to Hollywood, right? I mean, that's kind of almost in the news, unfortunately, but this has been going on a long time. It looks like they're maybe cracking down on it, or hopefully break it wide open, but it's going on right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I was, as I did my research, there was so much that I didn't know. Human trafficking is the number 3 criminal enterprise in the world behind drug smuggling and counterfeiting. And in the United States, 1/3 of human trafficking victims are foreign. They come from outside the United States. So I didn't want this to be a story where your, roguish American hero runs off to a foreign land and, rights wrongs of all the stuff that's going on over there, because this stuff is going on in America just as well.
Yeah. And the twist in it is that I guess the person running this trafficking he may have information about a terrorist attack on the U.S., right? So is that kind of the quandary that Court deals with here?
That is exactly the quandary. He is he's informing for the CIA, basically just so they won't mess with with his criminal syndicate. But he's providing intelligence to them about various things going on, including terrorism. And so the CIA doesn't want to upset that apple cart. Court, however, isn't doing that 40,000-foot view of right and wrong. I mean, he sees these women, and he desperately, he feels like their plight is his plight, and so he has to sort of go against his masters, and that's always a tough needle to thread in these stories.
Kind of handcuffed in a sense, because the CIA wants that information. So if he busts up the ring, they won't get the information they want, right? If he doesn't do quickly.
Exactly. There's a lot of dancing around, and then there's just some actual defiance from him at different points of the story.
Yeah, that's a great idea for the novel. Obviously, creates the suspense. How do you do research on not only the trafficking but the terrorism angle of it? Do you just kind of read through? I guess you can read through the newspapers, can't you?
Yeah, and mostly it's a lot of reading of research, and it's a lot of policy papers and think tank stuff. A lot of it's very, very dry and boring, and I always feel like that's my that's the talent that I offer to readers is like I'll read through the boring stuff and then come up with the stuff that I would want to hear. And there's that, and then terrorism. I've always researched that. I do talk to people in law enforcement. I did a lot of location research for this book. I went to Bosnia and Croatia and Italy and even out to Hollywood, and that all helps to build the story.
Are people reluctant? Like you said, you went to Hollywood, and this whole trafficking thing is, in the news. Are people reluctant to talk to you about it, even though you're just doing it for a book? You're not doing it to prosecute anybody. Yeah,
I didn't have any problems with this one. I wasn't dealing with sex traffickers themselves, but I've had problems with law enforcement before. In the drug war in Mexico and stuff like that. And honestly, there's good reasons to not talk to a thriller writer about things if you're in the intelligence field or stuff like that. I mean, there's things you can say and things you can't say, but then the danger for some of these people is if I came up with something on my own that happened to be something classified or that they wanted to keep up, it would look like they were involved in divulging that. So I can definitely, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to talk to me at these things. But for this location research, it was all about getting to know the place. And the Jeffrey Epstein thing is going on now. It wasn't really going on as I was writing this book. Right. But my main villain happens to be a billionaire, money manager who also runs a sex trafficking ring. So in some ways, it's similar to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Yeah. Well, it makes for a great, like we said, a thriller, and this one is called 1 Minute Out. Again, a Cortland and Court Gentry thriller. That's the main character in the book, and I know the fans of yours are interested in it, but again, you don't have to have read the previous books to really enjoy this one. And Mark Greaney, once again, give out your website if you would. People get more information about you in the book.
Sure. It's markgraneybooks.com. It's Greaney book, Mark, Greaney books.com, and you can go there and find all the info about me. I'm also very active on social media, so I'm easy to find.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure you're working on another one, so we'll look forward to talking to you maybe this year or very early next year again. But thanks for being with us again.
Hey, thanks for having me, Doug. I appreciate it.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.